instead of them having to cross, all the odd number cylinders are on this side of the distributor cap, and all the even number cylinders are on this side.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you have all four wires coming in 1, 2, 3, 4 right next to one another. And then the other side, the wires are coming as 1, 3, 5, 7 on that side. So all the wires are like lined up. The 1, the 3, the 5, the 7.
Mm-hmm.
They're all lined up one another. None of them are crossing.
Mm.
And the same on the other side. And it's all done via bridging on the inside of a stock distributor cap. So it's not like they're remaking a whole distributor cap brand new. They're freaking, or maybe they do, I don't know. But in any case, it's a correct fire. So it takes the original firing order and it reconfigures the cap underneath where it's supposed to be. In fact, it is a new distributor cap they're making, but they still have to build a bridge underneath it and epoxy it and all that stuff because you're not deviating from the original firing order. The firing order is still the same, but the spark plugs are being fired while it's still being fired the original firing order. It's being fired through a distributor cap that's corrected, but it has a bridge going to the correct terminal it's supposed to fire. So it's more of a restrictive path for the spark to go. So I don't think it would increase. It just cleans up the wiring in the engine compartment, but it doesn't increase horsepower.
Mm.
And I did use one of the distributor caps one time, and I went back to the original. I mean, the wires are crossed. It doesn't look as sanitized because you see the pictures in the magazines where you see the engine on the stand. It's got the spark plug right, and they're all lined up. You know what? It's bogus. Because they're just plugging the distributor cap, the wires in where they
Wherever
look best, not where they're actually the firing order.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they're not allowing any excess to allow for distributor rotation, because you have to time it. So you have to allow for a certain amount of extra wire to allow for distributor rotation. So when you turn it this way and turn it that way, you time it, it has to be able to turn and the wire can't, be pulled. So you have to allow access so it has plenty of free space to move around in there. And then plus also the engine has to rock. Well, actually that doesn't matter because it's not on something else, but only the coil wire because that's done on the firewall. So that has to have some give and take because the engine's rocking. But for the most part, you have to allow a little bit of freeway for the distributor cap rotation. So, but yeah, when you see the ones in the magazine and stuff like that, those engines aren't running, and they put the plug wires in wherever they look best for the picture, not for how they're best for the engine to run and whatnot. So, I mean, it looks better on paper, it looks better in the picture to have all the wires come in, from both sides equally and, the wire, no access, and stuff like that. So, but in all actuality and freaking real life scenario, your wires ain't gonna look. I mean, while they're gonna look a lot better than what was on there before, because the wires on there before like a foot too long. So you had them, freaking wrapped around a coil and then plugged it in. Yeah. I mean, it's still gonna look, wires kind of like coming this way and that way and they're crossing over one another because they have to. But it's not gonna be a bunch of access. Where it has to be coiled around 3 times and held with a zip tie, and then plugged in. You got this coil of freaking wire that shouldn't be there. So it'll look a lot neater when I'm done with it, but it's still going to cross because that's the way it is.
I got you.
Ow.
Yeah.
So now I'm just going to put the coil wire on, make sure that I made that to the correct length. Because I did make the other one that was on there. I remember I repaired it because it was no good. It was because you had the wrong boot on there. So anyway, I put a different end and a different boot on it. So I made up that one, but now I'm gonna buy new wires anyway. So I had to make a whole new one.
Right. One thing after another.
All right. Well, I got another roofer coming over here right now.
Oh, great. Make sure you close